Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
I'm not so good actually, but
Not so
I don't
good.
think one of those pain days. My camera is going to be a pain again.
Ugh. Well, you look
So
fine
let's
right
see.
now.
I'm fixing to
Yeah,
go.
we can roll
It's
with it.
not.
We can roll with it.
Yeah. How are y'all?
How is everyone? Marie says, I'm the first one here. Yes, you were indeed. Man, you were early. You were really early. That's awesome. Um, hello, Jimena.
There we go. Now I got it.
And Kathy Ann's here. Susan P. Hi there. Aria. Hope you're doing good. Miss
Violet.
Sunrise John is here from North Georgia, of course.
How you
Sophia.
doing? Oh my gosh. Hey, Sophia. How lovely. Marie, love you. Um, I'm going down. Violet. Hey, honey. Oh, I'm out of breath.
So we're just looking
Okay.
at who's here in the chat today on this lovely Friday. I hope it's a lovely Friday.
It's
I've
Friday.
been kind of out of the loop for a little bit. I've been, checking in on some lives, checking in on what you've been doing. Just needed a break, just kind of thing.
Everybody does. And
I just needed to take some time off. I was having some kind of flare ups of stuff for my chronic illness junk. So I just
we
needed
definitely have to have I have a live about that soon because that's what I'm going through today.
yeah, I know we
Yes,
talked
Marie.
about that.
I slept from 8:30 last night till I missed my nurses when they came the first time. They woke me up at 10:30. So yeah. Or yeah, 10:30. So I slept
Do you
like
sleep in at the like in the office? I know you have like a couch and other things, right?
yeah, but no, I actually was at home yesterday. I come home yesterday and that's when I fell
Okay,
asleep outside of my tanning pool and got burnt. And
that's right.
but I needed some sun therapy. And oh, Alicia, I'm sorry. Look, honey, it's fine. Whatever you need to do and whatever help, and you can message us. We'll help you if you need
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
please.
Do what you
But
need to do.
I then I went to I come on live last night and everybody's worried because I don't sleep that whole night. So everybody was worried about me getting sleep.
I
I
know.
went to sleep at 8:30 last night and I woke up at 10:30 this morning with my
Good for
nurses beating on the
you.
door.
Good for you. Sometimes
Yeah.
our bodies just tell us, hey, if we're not slowing down, our bodies will do it for us.
Yeah, I hurt my shoulder, this shoulder all the way down. I mean, there's a knot in my neck right here that won't quit, and it's all the way down to my thumb. I keep dropping everything with this left hand. They want me to call my neurosurgeon. I'm like, it'll go away.
That's a little concerning, though. Yeah.
It is concerning, and the pain is really concerning. So
Well, I
I've
hope it.
taken muscle relaxers. I've taken ibuprofen. That's all I can take.
Yeah.
Hey, Chameleon, how are you doing? Glad you're here.
So you may have noticed, Keela and I are both wearing our hot mess sweatshirts. We got from Lady Co, right? And
Way to go.
yes, there's some good finds there. I won't lie. And so I have actually I have one in each color. I have two of them
I didn't get
because
the other color. Okay. They were out.
I got it's like in a blue. I think there's two colors, the blue and this green.
Blue.
Um, because I'm that much of a hot mess. I told you. It's just sometimes I just feel like, you know what? I wore it earlier this week, the blue one, and then today I'm wearing the green one.
They were
I'm like,
out of stock every time. I need to see if Reese will
they
talk
really got it.
to.
Yeah, they got to get those. Those go hot.
Yeah,
These are
no,
hot items.
the blue ones. I want the blue one. I love it.
So that's kind of, yeah. I mean,
Although green does match our channel, so.
that's right. That's right. So anyway,
But
that
I am a hot mess, guys. So
I kind
it
of feel
is.
like a hot mess too. I don't know if anyone else feels like a hot mess, but I kind of do. Just because of physical stuff, and then just it messes with you. I know that you feel it too. It's like
Yeah.
you're expected to do the same things day to day, and it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I think I just ended up. That's why I can come trying to do some breathing because literally 5 minutes ago I was in there trauma dumping on my poor Aunt Dana. I was just like, and this and this and this and this and this. She said, "What is it, baby?"
Well, she's there for you, huh? She's
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah, and she is so proud. She's so proud of this community. She said she feels like family. Like she was like, when you were talking about family last night, I was hoping you weren't going to bring up nuclear family. She said because I just don't. I just can't because I guess her and my mom had some disagreement about what a nuclear family was. So
Oh, okay.
I said, no, ma'am, I was not bringing that up. I didn't even cross my mind to bring that word up. I probably would have, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Marie,
Um,
I was not, it was a nice change to be early for something. I was born 2 weeks late, and I'm blamed for being late for everything. Marie, you cannot be any worse than I am. I promise you, there's nobody can be worse than I am.
like usually, I mean, just expect, like for our channel in general, because we are hot messes. If we say 1 or 3 or whatever time it is in your time zone, bank on about 5 or 10 minutes later, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I was going to be on time this time, and it's like the outside world has something against me being on time. I feel like that sometimes because
Marie has a good comment here if you're reading that.
let's see, what did she say? Oh, Ari, I'm in good. What advice would you tell someone with pain in the left?
Marie, touche.
Mm,
Touche. You know who are the worst patients? Nurses and people in healthcare. There you go.
that's me, Dawn. Me too. Okay, Marie. So you got me.
There you go, Marie. No, but we worry about you, Keela.
Well, I wouldn't be so worried if I wouldn't have just had neck surgery and still know that there's a few. He only does 2 fusions at a time, and there's like 4 or 5 that need to be done. And that you learn in medical school. First thing, C5 keeps you alive.
Yeah.
I mean, literally anything C5 or above keeps you alive. So that's what he wanted to address, because I mean that's your breathing, all your autonomic bodies. Your breathing, your heart rate, your digestion, everything is controlled by those nerves. Well, I had 3 tears in my spinal cord from the bone fragments collapsing and cutting into them. So that was have to be done first. And he only does 2 fusions at a time. And I needed the other one below that he did done also. And I think that's where I'm scared that's where this is coming from, because it's going now down my arm and then all the way to this thumb, and I'm dropping everything that I grabbed this. So yeah, my nurses today, they said, yeah, that's definitely nerve. And I'm like, oh God.
So if you need to, by the way, this is me talking in my mama bear nature, but if you need to like recline, change your position, go off video for a while to like stand up or whatever you need to do, you do that.
Oh, I'm scared to stand up. My pants.
Yeah, Tampa B man. So
Barbara, how are you?
Yeah, how are you doing? And
You didn't have to
how are you doing
evacuate.
holding up with all the storms out there where you are? Are they
I know.
by
I
you?
talked to her yesterday. I said, "Where are you? Are you okay?" She said she didn't have to evacuate because they weren't in the zone that had to evacuate, but that was a massive storm.
Yeah.
I was worried about everybody in that area, but I called her. I texted her. That's my babe right there. Yeah.
Let's see. So, gosh, I feel like sometimes we talk about this in different ways. What we're going to talk about today, but
Okay.
it's been kind of in the greater community that we're a part of. It's been kind of a heavy week. A lot of things have.
Yeah, and even
I
today.
don't know. And here we make it a policy, like we're not going to get into any of it. We're not going to talk about it. We're not, other than just to talk about the fact that what?
John.
Oh, you're going to sneeze?
No, look at John.
Okay.
I can't see. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I hear you, Jen.
And Aria, I'm so glad your husband is helping. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love you, John. Anyway, go ahead. I just had to laugh at him for saying that.
Oh
It's
my
the truth,
gosh.
though.
I thought something was wrong. You like reacted
No,
scared
he
me
made
for
me
a
laugh.
minute.
Oh, your son came home
Mm.
from Tallahassee and he is safe too. Oh, good, Barbara. I'm so glad. Good.
Anyway, but we don't get into
Yeah.
any of the back and forth or drama. Any of it. We don't, other than just to talk about, yeah, exactly. We won't be discussing details, just about Kathy Ann, just about how it's affecting you and how things, first of all, can affect us, how stressful environments can, and people having conflicts, people having disagreements, people, we all have different reactions to different emotions, and that can trigger our emotions, obviously. I
Can I say, can
personally,
I? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, no, I was just gonna say, I personally, like, I took a break from a lot of things this week, but one of them was I pick and chose, like, didn't watch as much YouTube, and I think that was a good thing for me. And I, just to step away from it for a bit. Go ahead, Keela. Sorry.
I was going to say, talk about affecting. Yeah, it definitely. I'll be straight up honest with everybody. And I know that we're very, try to be, safe space professional on here but yeah, we're people too. And it has affected me. It's really affected me because I didn't really think so at first, Gretchen, but you know what? The empath part of me, I'm having emotions that are I know I have no reason to be having. Therefore, my support group always says, if you're having emotions that you are not having before something started, then you need to look at where they're coming from. Okay? So, yeah. I'm I, there is so much pain. There is so much hurt in this community. And then I have so much anger, and I don't know which part I'm picking up on, if it's our listeners or if it's, I don't know. I just know there's a lot. There's a lot. And if I'm hurting, then I know there's a lot of people that are hurting.
And just the feeling of just not knowing what's up and what's down, with things that,
Chaos.
yeah, when we see things and we think they're a certain way, and then certain perspectives
Hmm.
change or whatever, no matter how that happens. Um, anyway,
And
it
it
can be
happens in
very
different
disorienting.
communities and in families. It happens change is inevitable. You have people come, you have people go. We know that.
Right.
But it just because it's inevitable doesn't mean that, wait a minute. Okay, I was just say weekend, yeah. Okay. Kathy's birthday weekend. But just because we know that it's gonna happen doesn't stop the emotions. And
Right.
we need to learn how to deal with those emotions in a positive way.
Exactly. Um, and wondering, you all, and I know everyone has their own separate personal life outside of this YouTube world that we're all in, but obviously people are going through their own stuff. Um, and sometimes when there's weeks that are a little bit heavier on YouTube, it can kind of intensify the emotions. So we're going to talk about just dealing with more intense emotions, and how, if anyone wants to, like, weigh in and say, how do they handle intense emotions? How do you, there's that feeling of, like, like, okay, I think there's a point where you say, okay, like, this is a reaction to something. Like, for
Yeah.
instance, you're very sad because you had a loss. Okay. And you go through that and you're okay. And then there's something that, like, can really set someone off, and their emotions go very intense very quickly. And it's all
Yeah.
consuming, or it can be very intense. It can be very impactful, and it's hard to settle down from it. So I see those as two kind of different
Yeah.
senses, like you were talking a lot about nervous system stuff. Your nervous
Yeah.
system goes, you can feel it. You can
Yes.
feel it.
I mean, it does. It has a visceral effect, and it's a real effect on your body.
Hmm.
So, and that when we get into I can't wait until we start doing something on the chronic pain and the things like that, because it's a real issue that not everyone,
Hmm.
that, you're women, or I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. You're women, or you're always got something wrong with you. It's just stuff you hear every day. And it's like, just because it's happening to me doesn't mean it's not real.
That's right. I just want to read a comment here, and you don't have to bring them up. I mean, we can, but I just want to read. Sophia said, "I live by this. I live by this too shall blow over, and if I have to react, it's usually not ideal for whoever made me have to react." And that's a good point.
Yes, Sophia.
You know that about her. That is something that not all of us, we might not always have awareness of, but other people around us might, right? So it's like when you think, oh, well, I can talk about this or I can approach that person or whatever, but you're just not a good spot to do it,
And that's emotional boundaries that I know that I have to have. But then when you're so far out away from yourself, and you're so far out, that's what I'm trying to explain. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but your emotions are so far out there that it's hard to rein them back in once it reaches a certain point, and then to hell with boundaries. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And Tampa B Man says, I seem to automatically go straight to self-pity and doom. I've been lifting out of it so much better lately. That's good. I'm curious to see what's been helping you, but and that's a good point, Tampa B Man. It's like we sometimes have reactions or similar like default reactions to something, and that goes back to like those core beliefs, that kind of feeling of how you kind of interpret things.
She's been doing the trauma. Oh, say it, because I'm going to lose my words because my brain's all over the place right now. I have so much going on in the background.
What is it? I can't think of it either.
The trauma exercises, the trauma release exercises. Yes, and I've actually been, and I think that's what they're called. Barbara, tell me if I'm right or wrong. I mean, exactly what it's called, because I was incorporating them into my physical therapy, but now I'm hurt. Hey, Heather. Yeah, it's all happening on the inside, so you just carry it and talk about it in chat. Trauma release exercises, yes.
Yeah.
And Barbara's doing so good with that. Hey, Journey, welcome. And I think hey, Susan, everybody. Okay, so Gretchen.
Yes.
Okay, I want to address this, please.
This comment?
Yeah. Marie, go ahead. I'm having a hard time seeing. So
okay. At Kathy, and I agree with Aria. You need and deserve to vent. And then you hear from others who have been through the same things and can say, I know you feel it's the best support.
That I wanted to bring up just because we go to the Facebook page and we have our what was it? Our chats that are specified, the chats in the Facebook group that are specified just for certain categories, and that so you can be around people and talk with people and have peer support that's been through the same thing.
Or even on the feed, that just the general one, people will be able to react and comment and support that way too.
Absolutely.
Kathy Ann says, Gretchen, is it healthier to let those bits of anger out as they happen, or when someone keeps pushing you till you do, or maybe it's better to say which is less healthy? I have something I was trying to bring up because I saw that comment, Kathy Ann. It matters. Okay, it's not such a like black and white question to answer. I mean, a black and white answer. Here's how I can kind of summarize if I can take a minute. The bits of anger, like if there's something, like I always say there's like the anger volcano. It starts with like calm, then it goes to like I'll just kind of do it like this because I can't get the picture up. Then it goes to like irritation or annoyance. Then it can go to like more frustration or agitation, then anger, and then rage, and then it explodes, right? I mean, if you let it go all the way up. And when you get to the point where you're like agitated, maybe, but definitely anger and rage, that's when you can't really be manage things and regulate yourself very well. So that at that point, you need to calm down your nervous system, step away. They always say, calm down, take deep breaths, regulate yourself. And we'll talk about some ways you can do that. And then go back and approach a situation, whether that's problem solving, whether that's communicating with the person directly. So to answer your question, it matters in the context. So if there are things that are like annoyances, like let's say with a spouse or partner, we all have things that kind of annoy, little daily things that annoy us. If we're able to kind of let that blow over and just say, okay, whatever, and it really truly doesn't affect us, that's cool. Just move on with your life, right? But if there's things that really are things that you want to pick up about, and say, this is something that's really important to address, I would say, yeah, do that before it gets to the point where it's really simmering up. And this is the other, yeah.
She just said, I'm bad about that. I'm bad about that's not worth fighting over and letting it sit. Then I realize even if I don't blow up, I'm sitting with resentment.
Yeah, that's the key. If it's something that you're willing to just pass by and not like just accept and be like, okay, I'm just going to move on with that. Like some little annoyance and you're like, okay, it's not worth it. And I'm not even going to sit in the resentment about it. That's different. If it's something that is building resentment, then obviously you need to talk about it. The key is, and this is I think one of the hardest things I'll use couples as an example. I don't know if you're talking about a couple situation or something specific or with anybody. It's important to bring those things up when you're calm. And everyone will tell me, like when I'm seeing someone in therapy, they go, I don't want to bring that up to my husband or partner or whoever when we're calm because things are going well. Like, why would I bring up an issue? But that's when you're most clear-headed, more logical thinking. In the midst of that anger, it's not going to be productive. If you're really resenting and you're really angry and you're really not in a good place, you're in that emotional state, you're over emotional, right? That side's really activated, not the more logical side.
That's what I was getting to when I was explaining, like being so far out there that I can't rein it back in. That Kathy always has a way of saying things that is perfect. That's exactly what I meant. Like it's when I get so far out there, then I not
and
gonna.
maybe Kathy Ann, sometimes it's about also we talk about communication styles. I mean, there's like there's passive aggressive. But then there's assertive and aggressive language. And sometimes when those intense emotions happen, if we're talking about anger per se, we get more aggressive or can be, or passive aggressive. Like where resentment comes in, right? Some people tend to communicate with people like that with passive aggressive communication. But the key there is to be more assertive and just talk about things as they come up and bother you, of course. So Kathy Ann says, just in general, I do it with friends, work, situations, my husband. I never react out of emotion and step back to process. Or I try to never react out of emotion and step back to process. Then I calm down and don't bring up the conflict. Okay. Yeah, I would take it a step farther and say to calm down, that's great. To regulate yourself and to ground yourself, but then to go back and because if you don't address it, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm, right? That broken arm's still going to be broken. You got to go back and see how you can repair that with the person.
And that's what my therapist said about the compartmentalizing. Don't do that.
Yeah. Kathy Ann, Miss Sunrise Dawn says, Kathy Ann, you are worth it. Please don't do what I sometimes do and tell yourself it's only affecting you and it's not worth it. You are worth it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And depending on the situation and what's going on, and there could be other people in your household that are affected by it. I'm using household example. I don't know if it is, or at work situations, right? I mean, if something's if the person's behaving in an inappropriate way or offensive way, it's probably affecting other coworkers.
So we got Heather. Yeah, we got Heather that has it. And Shauna, hi, I'm sorry. We were in the, I didn't want to interrupt Gretchen, but welcome. And Heather.
Hi, Heather. I hold it in to not argue or fight. In the long run, what does it matter? Kind of that's what you tell yourself to kind of rationalize it, sounds like. Yeah. And again, I think it's funny how some of these our lives
there's no normal. The only normal is the setting on my dryer.
Is that a trauma response or do normal people do this?
There's no normal.
everyone does something like that. I mean, there's like that, like we're talking about that fight or flight, or all that freeze. It's not only just with trauma responses, it's with just the way that our messaging was, the way that we've learned things. um, I wanted to go back to Heather Max though. Where was that?
Yeah, Heather.
Oh, to not argue or fight. I wanted to kind of reframe the idea of arguing or fighting as a bad thing. I don't know if that's the underlying assumption, but some people think that arguing or fighting is not good, and that's a normal part of relationships, honestly. Some people say, oh, they've been married or they've been together for 20 years and they never had an argument. I'd be like, what?
What the hell's wrong with them?
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, that's not good either, right? It's sometimes, and I try to convince some of the people I work with, the folks I do therapy with, it's like addressing conflict and having an argument can actually bring you closer to someone. It can create emotional intimacy with that person, because you're actually, if it's done in an appropriate and healthy way, and it comes from a place of trying to understand one another, it can be like really healing. It can be really draw people more connected to each other. So I'd like to kind of not give arguments or fights such a bad name. Now it matters. I mean, fights can be all different ways, but if they're unhealthy and if they're kind of name calling and yelling and all that, and not as healthy and not as productive. No, I don't think it's bad. Don't want judgment and it's draining. You don't have the energy. Okay.
I was trying to find a quote. I didn't want to have to do the video. So I was trying to find a quote, Gretchen, when she asked that Dr. Gabriel Monte, he does touch on that. He reads off a obituary in his book, When the Body Says No, about a couple that was married for so long that never had an argument, not once. He said, why are they bragging about this on the obituary? He was like, because holding all of that in, that means she never disagreed with him. She never got to be her true, authentic self. And therefore you get what he teaches is, how you all illnesses and sicknesses and things like that happen to us, stem from our childhood and from being in that kind of existence. It's not positive. Holding all that in. If you don't ever disagree with someone, then that means it can't be good for you. And I was trying to find that quote from him, but I don't know where it's at.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. That's good, like, insight, because it's important to voice your opinion, because as Kathy Ann said, if you just swallow it down and don't say anything and act like everything's okay when it's really not, that builds resentment. And over time, resentment can go to contempt and other different really not such great places for people. If I be painfully polite and humorless, someone is really screwed. That's good to know.
Sophia, yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I love that redhead.
Tampa V, Kathy Ann, I learned it from my mom. She died of a broken heart. Resentment is a cancer. Yeah. If anyone wants to check out, there's a psychologist couple, and I always joke, yes, they're still together, even though they're both psychologists. But they're Julie and John Gottman, and they have a website that has talk about more relationship. They've studied relationships, like partner relationships, more romantic relationships for many, many years. And they talk about like the 4 horsemen of relationships. And one of them is
what is it again?
The Gottman.com. I think it's Gottman. And it's they have a lot of good resources in terms of communication, better communication, conflict, like how to argue well, that kind of thing. Heather Mack. No, I don't think. Oh yeah, we read this one. Don't want judgment and it's draining. You don't have the energy. And sometimes, what? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying hi, Susan.
Oh, hi, Susan. Yeah, sometimes, and by the way,
Thank you, Kathy, for that link.
I'm a big fan of opening up conversations, and it may seem strange to some people, it doesn't always have to be like this. Like Keely and I are back and forth. Like we're not in person, but we're as good as it can be. And if we're having an argument and it's not a productive argument, then maybe it's better if maybe I email her my perspective and then she takes her time and reads it and she emails me back or text message. A lot of people would
That's
say,
okay.
well, a lot gets misconstrued. Well, but maybe that gives each person an opportunity to really sit and think about it.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Kathy Ann put something. Even healthy couples fight with Julie and John Gottman. Look at she's on the.
I know
She's on
already.
it.
She's already got that link up there. She's
Holy
quick.
cow! Look at her.
Yeah.
And Tampa B. So contempt breeds hatred and disdain. Yeah. Tampa B man, I've learned from 23 years of being the mom of borderline daughter what to say and what not to say, which I learned I can never make someone change what they think.
I love you. I hate you. Please don't leave me. Perfect book for borderline personality disorder.
There is that the same one? There's one about teenagers. Like, it's not borderline, but it's teenagers, which are maybe.
Oh gosh,
like, I love you, I hate you, now take me to the mall or something. You
yes, yeah, it comes off that. Yeah,
yeah.
That I love you, I hate you, please don't leave me is more like I guess for couples or.
There's another book I just wanted. Let me just check this out.
Miss Sunrise Dawn, my husband gets more mad, I think, because I won't allow him to walk on me. I stick up for myself now, and he hates it. And you set boundaries. Hey, Carrie Ann, and I will tell you this: boundaries at home are the hardest for me to set. Like it's easier for me to set them with strangers first, and set them at work, and then set them at home. But you have to stick to it, and it gets easier. It does get easier. They learn to accept it. I mean, just like I said with this door back here, if this door is closed, don't open it unless we've already talked about it. Like, okay, if he's cooking supper, if he's bringing me my food, that's one thing. But if he comes in from work, he knows if the door is closed, do not open it. And he crossed that boundary once. I was not rude or ugly. I just sat down and explained to him, this is my boundary. If I'm going to be working from home, I have to have my space, and I don't allow anyone at work to just walk into my office without knocking or asking. And I said, and I would like that same respect here. And he's shown it ever since. So
yeah, and by the way, and I think that's completely right. It's like reinforcing that boundary. And sometimes, as you said, like sometimes there can be a really strong reaction at first when you start to implement a new type of behavior, like to do something different, to react or interact in a different way. And so expect that there might be some pushback. And then eventually, if you stick with that boundary, if you stick with that pattern, then the person will adjust inevitably. One thing for Tampa B Man, I was just going to mention, check out the book, and I was going to try to join the chat, but I'm not right now. It's called Stop Walking on Eggshells, Taking Your Life Back When Someone You Care About Has Borderline Personality Disorder. I don't know if you've read that one. It's by Paul Mason.
I haven't read that one.
It's a lot of people I've worked with, clients have recommended that. I haven't read it myself, but I know that that's one that's a lot of people have read.
I need that for my one that I have to take care of now because she has no one. One of my patients, she's lost everyone. So, and she's not only got the WPD, she's got IDD along with that, and the intermittent explosive disorder, and just adjustment disorder, things that should have been helped when she was younger that wasn't, and now she's like fixing to be 34, 35, and she's still got the mindset of a 16-year-old. So I'm dealing with almost that at work, and I'm her object of I hate you, I love you, I hate you, please don't leave me. I've had to back off, and with me not being there, it's gotten so worse. So,
and boundaries, especially with someone, if you have someone in your life that has borderline personality disorder, is so important to have firm boundaries and to stick with them, and really to not get drawn into the drama or chaos that the person might want to draw you into, to really keep those emotional boundaries pretty good.
Tampa Bay Man, I have something to say about that. that is the epitome. No, the other one. Go that
The
one.
reality of the
Okay, so
situation.
that is the actual root of borderline personality disorder, abandonment issues as a child. I mean,
There's
that
definitely a push, a pull, a push, a pull, a push, a pull.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even if
That
it's not
pattern.
true, look at Kathy. Thank you, honey.
She's
She's freaking amazing.
and she was gonna be kind of half here, I think, because she had a lot of stuff going on today. So
She's so
appreciate
good with
you.
links. But no, the abandonment with borderline is intense. It actually is. And it's because even if it's perceived, which perception is reality for people.
Right.
And even if it's not true and it's just something that it's a phobia or it's perceived, it's still true to them. And what's true to them is what they're acting off of. It's an abandonment issue. Whether it be real or not, it's real to them.
Mhm.
Bipolar at age 7.
Yeah.
I have some issues with some of that.
I do
I'm
too.
gonna, yeah.
I had once I worked with a child that was kindergarten, I think, or pre-K, and was diagnosed with like ADD or ADHD and wanted to put them on meds, but they had a lot of he was pushed around to different like foster and stuff. I was like, well, of course he's
Yeah.
going to have attention issues, and like
Doesn't mean that you have to go.
yeah. I mean, let's wait a while. I mean, I know he just got into school, but let's wait a while till we put a diagnosis like that on him because life circumstances can also cause disruptions in cognitive flow.
Absolutely, absolutely. And see, okay, look, there you go, Barbara. Okay, my daughter was born with oxygen deprivation, and that changed her frontal lobe. Anger is the easiest emotion to feel and let out.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to answer something on Miss Sunrise Dawn, if you don't mind. Let me go back up and see if I can find it. Okay, right here. Oh, John, I'm sorry. That one. Can you put that one up? Okay. So, Miss Sunrise Dawn, I'm going to tell you, and if I'm wrong or if I'm off on this because I am having an off day, Gretchen can correct me on this one. But my therapist and everything I've ever watched on this and had to learn is like this. You take your hand up, okay? Bipolar only cycles they only cycle at certain times. And I'm going to try to use this arm. Okay, so if you see a cycle within a day, especially a week or a month, that you have your ups, downs, and you can get through your whole hand, that's usually not bipolar. Where you're looking at more borderline, because bipolar typically do not cycle that quick. And he says if you can get through one hand of the ups and downs, especially in one day or several times a day, that is not a bipolar cycle. Am I right or am I wrong on that one, Gretchen? But that's what I learned. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not sure if I could comment like specifically on that because with borderline or with bipolar, sorry, there can be different types of
You have
cycling
rapid
through emotional
cycling.
state, right?
Yeah.
So you could have someone that's rapid cycling that could change from one day to another, or even within the same day. I've worked with people that have, for several weeks up to a couple months, have a depressive episode and then they have a manic episode. So that particular like cycling, if you're talking about like a rapid cycling bipolar, for a person that was rapid cycling bipolar versus borderline, maybe I hear you on that. There is some overlap in symptoms of some sort, and I would say difficulty with emotion regulation, as we were talking about today, is one of those.
Yes.
And I was just going to pull this up to kind
Go
of
ahead. Go ahead.
to kind of verify the differential here, just to
Where you at? And are you able to share it to the screen?
let me see. 1 second. I'm just gonna.
I have to pull down that comment. I don't know where that's at. John, can you pull down that comment?
Okay. Let me,
Okay, fine.
how do I share this? Let me see if I can share that line.
Go down to present.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And then it's going to pull you up what tab you
share
want to show.
screen.
Yeah, then it'll tell you, you'll have to go, you can skip that first box that comes up usually, and then it'll tell you, it'll give you the box of what
Yeah.
screen, what tab you want to
Okay.
share.
We got this. You got
And then
this.
add it to stage.
You got it? Is it on?
It's done.
Yeah. Okay. So Slate
And
Central is actually a really good website. And so we're not going to get demonetized for this, is it, for pulling up stuff?
no, it's if it's up there, I mean, Site Central, we're giving them the credit for it. We're not
All
taking it
right.
as our own.
Yeah, it's right here, psychcentral.com.
Yeah.
So, like
And
I
we will
said,
put it in the comment. I mean, in the description.
So there are some symptoms that have overlap. So that's changes in mood, which we know, impulsivity, which I think Barbara spoke to a little bit earlier. Like it's kind of that prefrontal cortex that gets affected, right?
Yeah.
The fragile self-esteem or self-worth. So that we especially see it with people with borderline personality disorder, that there's never someone's attention and care for them, or it's never enough, right? So they're still
No,
craving more and more. It's like you give them,
that will
all of
suck
your
you dry.
time in a day, and they still will call you and text you and want more, and it's never good enough.
It's
Because
never going to
they're
be enough.
right, because they don't have their own sense of self-esteem and self-worth. So they're looking to all other sources for that validation, and it will never be enough, because they ultimately, you need to do that for yourself. Self-destructive behavior, self-harm, substance abuse. So those are commonalities in both borderline personality and bipolar, and then like suicidal thoughts and actions. But symptoms of bipolar, obviously the symptoms of mania and hypomania. So like the higher energy
That's where I
activity
was going through
levels.
the
Yeah.
hyper, the hyper, that's
Decreased need for sleep. The inflated or grandiose self-esteem. We'll see this with sometimes with bipolar. We won't see it as much with borderline. Engaging in
right.
harmful or self-destructive behaviors. Again, that can be in both, but that's hypomania or mania can be. Making plans you're unable to keep, so kind of being more scattered, being thinking and talking faster than usual. So like that hyper verbal, if someone's like, you can barely get a word in edgewise, which is kind of me right now because I'm trying to go through this, but it's truly like they sit down and you can really tell when someone's in a manic phase because they're just go, 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 And borderline personality disorder, they don't really have that language, that speech pattern. And then of course with depression, you're going to see these things. So there's those specific episodes, right? Where you have like the
That's what I'm
more
saying. Yeah, you have you have your mania, your depression, your
Mhm.
mania, your depression, the mania, depression. Hey, Sophie. That's what the cycling of bipolar.
Right.
You have your manic, your depressive, and that is what I have. I guess that's what I was trying to say. If someone is
Right.
exhibiting these signs like that many times, if you can get through your hand that many times in one day, then you might want to rethink what they've been diagnosed with. It's what I
Well,
was.
and then the other thing there is like there's also the bipolar 2, which is less intense. So like you have the hypomania, as they said up above, which is like a common example. Catherine Zeta-Jones came out. She was bipolar 2, which means she's still able to her manic episodes aren't as intense. And by the way,
Right.
people obviously with bipolar 1 or bipolar 2 can lead very productive. It's not like there's levels of how much it impacts their functioning level. And largely that's
Yeah,
due to a lot of other things. It's how intense their symptoms is, how much they cycle, and the medications they're on. I mean, if someone's on medications and they're doing well on it, that can be a big factor too.
also cluster B, we know that, if they're in the cluster B, that's going to be a lot more intense too.
So a lot of when I think about personality disorders, first of all, it's very pervasive across situations. Um, so they're going to act similarly in all different situations. But like Barbara pointed out, the avoid anything at all costs to avoid feeling abandoned, whether the abandonment is real or imagined.
Yeah.
A pattern of high conflict, intense relationships, and I will also add to that a period of unstable, kind of turbulent or unstable relationships oftentimes, an unstable self-image here, impulsive behaviors, sometimes self-harm things,
Okay,
cutting.
so can I say
Yeah,
something right here on the self
yeah.
harm? Okay, on the self harm and what Barbara just said, 70% of borderlines will attempt suicide. Okay, I'm going to tell you what though, Barbara, I want to teach this maybe a little bit. Is what I'm saying. What I learned when I was in school, and which wasn't that long ago, about on this. And it says it is the highest suicide rate, but it's not the highest attempted suicide rate. And I'm going to tell you why. Borderline personality disorder, people would diagnose with that. Okay, they want your attention at all costs. And why it makes it the most dangerous personality disorder. And I have went, hey, Powerless, I have been actually a deep dive into this condition. Is because they will do anything to get your attention, good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. Fuel is fuel, which is your attention. So, well, I'm going to go, blah, blah, blah myself. I mean, they may get to the point, and I don't want to trigger warning everybody. Okay. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody. Trigger warning. Okay. They may not mean to hurt themselves. They just want your attention. But because they are willing to carry it that far, it can end up, like you just said, in the most of the successions of unaliving, because they will carry it that far, not meaning to hurt themselves, not meaning to do that to themselves. They just want your attention. But it goes so far that they can't stop it once it hits a certain place. If I'm trying to explain it without us getting kicked off YouTube. So, I mean, like I have one, she likes to take her ace bandage and go out to the fence in front of everybody or on a tree and just lean up against it, like she's going to do this to herself. Hi, Aunt Dana. And she's not trying to hurt herself. She's trying to get my attention, and I refuse to give it. I will not acknowledge that. But what happens when she does that for too long and she doesn't have the ability or the capacity to understand that she can never wake up from that? It can happen. That's this illness right here. I've had her for over 13 years, and it never gets better.
Yeah. So, and that can be very, folks with borderline, part of the intense relationships, and that is there might be a really an intense time of romanticizing the relationship, and this is the best ever, and then it crashes. There's
just because I won't answer a text, it could be that simple. I haven't answered her text back within 2 seconds of receiving it.
And there's that outburst of anger, which is down here, right? It's even if it's irrational, even if it's like, well, you should give Keela more than 2 seconds to respond before lashing out. But it's because again, there's that feeling of emptiness. There's that feeling of I need this. It's never quite enough. Another thing I wanted to point out is there can be a tendency, not all the time, but a tendency to idolize a person in relationships, and then they oftentimes will fall off that pedestal, and that may happen a few different times. So for instance, I always ask, and just as common practice in my therapy sessions, about usually in the first session or two, about previous therapy. I'll say, oh, did you have like a previous therapist or previous work in therapy? And they'd say, yeah. And then they might say, I usually, if they've had previous therapists, hopefully they've had at least one positive experience. And usually they do, people that come in. But with someone with borderline personality disorder, I see a common pattern, which is, you know what, that therapist, I didn't really like that therapist. Or that other therapist, the one before her, she was terrible. And this, you see a pattern of kind of really not saying that there's really a lot of past negative experience with therapists, but I know you're the right one for me. I know that you're going to be it. I can just tell that you're going to be the right therapist. So there's this like denigration of other people that felt, maybe she felt, that person felt abandoned, and then and that's more, that's just one example of how it can play out. That kind of
Yeah.
the good and the bad is very black and white thinking, right?
Splitting, carrying. Yeah. Paralyzed to paralyzed. Hi, everybody. My most recent relationship was with the borderline personality disorder. It ended 4 years ago, and I'm still healing. Any advice? No contact. Zero contact. I mean, I don't know. That's the only That's the only advice I could give.
Yeah, and in terms of your own self-work, I mean, maybe just realizing that that was something, like kind of reminding yourself of your own self-worth and your own like reality checking with yourself, because I think sometimes that can get distorted when you're in a relationship with someone that also has their own version of reality. Like Keela said, it's more important the person's perception than reality. But enough when you get into a relationship with someone that has a very distorted version of their own reality, it can kind of draw you into that too. So things like feeling like you're not enough, things like feeling maybe like you are walking on eggshells, and it can make someone feel like they're very conscious of even just bringing up something that might disturb someone. So just being aware of maybe the consequences for you of how that affects how you are now, the patterns of behavior.
And know that you're not in that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this. What Tampa B Man says, that that daughter is now the most emotionally stable person I know. She's dealt with so much and received so much therapy. She knows more than me. And I don't, and yeah, and by me talking about this, I don't mean to characterize people with borderline or even bipolar as being bad in any way, or being like less than. It's just some of the challenges they may face. And I appreciate you saying that, Tampa B Man, because I think that people can have such great awareness and just work through some of those challenges, like you said about your daughter.
Yeah. And the work that you put into it. And going back to Paralyzed, what he said, you've got to know your self-worth, okay? You've got to know that. You've got to know that all the damage that was done during that relationship does not define you. You need to find yourself, not who you were with in that relationship, your true self, and go to your core values and go back to those. You can't go wrong with that. It's hard to separate myself from the turmoil, because at a point it was just normal to be dysfunctional. I'm gonna let you go with that one, Gretchen, because it is true.
Yeah. I think part of this is when, and this can be a component of several different types of personality disorders, when there's a fear of abandonment, any kind of time away from that relationship might be seen as some type of abandonment. So if you go off with some friends and have an afternoon with friends, there might be some jealousy, there might be some reactions. Similar with like a person with narcissistic personality disorder, things like that. So really, sometimes there's also a distancing away from who was in your life that was supportive and positive, and reconnecting with those folks, I think, is one of the best ways to kind of get back to a more functional mindset, like that you can, and there's like that kind of, then you have someone for a basis, like, okay, I can get out of this and get my mindset into other types of relationships, that to understand or to know and to be immersed in those that are like, okay, this is be exposed to what what healthy relationships look like, what reciprocal, more
Yeah.
functional relationships can look like. So that would be my advice. Like whether it's a coworker relationship that's really
Friendship.
respectful, friendship, a family relationship, a YouTube relationship. I don't know.
As long as you use that word, not the other one.
Yeah, right.
I can't stand that word.
But
Uh,
I think this is a good kind of where we're taking these examples of like borderline and bipolar because from what Miss Sunrise Dawn had pointed out where we got in this subject, because when we're around people also that are have some problems with dysregulation as well, that could be a trigger, and that can make us feel their state of mind too, their emotional state, and we can get drawn into that. And it's hard for us to keep that emotional boundary in those situations are so important, like to give support but also not to fully take on and to get immersed in someone
It has to be
else's.
like indifferent. It has to be, you have to, I mean, but you truly have to have it indifferent. It has to be, you're the same. It's just indifferent. And if you show any emotion to that, you're just feeding that.
Right. And knowing where your support limits are to say, you know
Right.
what, I can do, and feeling okay with that. I can do XYZ for you, but you need to also put in some work and do some things for yourself. You need to, and that's up to you, but I'm only willing to do XYZ, and that's it. That kind of thing.
And keep your
Sometimes
boundary. Mhm.
Um,
Tampa Bay. She said borderline name came from about by being on the border of psychosis. Gretchen, let me know. And then dysregulation is a boss bitch. You ain't lying. Well, that's what we're here to talk about. And we've got a hard stop
So,
in an hour and 3 minutes, so we better
oh my
get
gosh,
to it.
do we, huh?
Yes.
So,
Oh, wait, less than that because we were late, or I was late.
yeah. So, where is that? What do I want to bring up? So I had a few things. So one of the things it's actually a good segue because we're talking about borderline personality disorder. If some of you are aware, one of the common therapy approaches was called dialectical behavioral therapy, which was developed by a lady by the name, I think in the Seattle area, by the name of Marsha Linehan. And she actually came out later, which she disclosed that she actually has borderline personality disorder herself. So she's kind of like the guru of this technique. But I think that a lot of her information, she has a couple different categories of what the tools are in dialectical behavior therapy, and one of them is emotion regulation. And so I just wanted to bring up maybe. Do you have these, or you couldn't find the link?
I've got it. Yeah,
Let's see which
I was
one
just
I want
at the end. Just said yes. Will y'all please check your subscriptions? You know that I don't like doing all that YouTube stuff, but like I like how Nora says it. Just can you do all the YouTube things like subscribe? We actually had someone on the other day that it was a guest on here, and he had subscribed when we first started the channel, and he was unsubscribed. I say I think when you get monetized, then they start unsubscribing people from you. Heather says, so I need to get out my DBT binder.
Please do. You probably have better information than I have, Heather. So one thing that I think is also important, let me just bring up this one too. This is an important kind of segue. I got a different one here.
Oh, okay.
You probably know this one, Keela.
If it's DBT or CBT, absolutely.
You do? The Venn diagram?
The Venn diagram?
This one.
I have so much trouble with that.
So let me just, gosh, I have a lot of dead air. Who doesn't like dead air?
No, we don't care about dead air around here. People talk. And Dana's in, Heather's looking for her binder. Barbara,
Oh, they're
And
all binders. Look at that. Okay. Did
oh,
I
there
stop
goes Kathy
sharing? Did I?
CBT, a type of psychotherapy that helps people learn to accept themselves and their emotions and make positive changes in their life. Absolutely. So
I'm,
yeah. And
I'm
then
just going nuts with this share screen.
oh, all you gotta do is go to present. Oh,
Let
you
me
got it up
see.
there already. There you go.
Is this better? Like if I zoom in?
Okay, zoom in and then put the stage, add the stage.
I'm sharing though, aren't I?
Nope. Nope. Oh, you just took it off. You had it shared, but you got to add it to stage. She's learning.
Oh my gosh. What the heck? Okay.
No, do what you were doing.
Okay.
You did good. You did
Share
good. Put it
screen, guys.
share
Thank you for
screen,
your patience.
and then after it gets here on the bottom, then just hit it and add a stage. Now go scroll down to it and add a stage. Let me do it
Yeah, just did. Yeah, can you?
right there. Mhm.
Ah, why can't I do that one? Okay. Okay.
All in your control now.
Um, so this one is the rational mind, wise mind, emotional mind. Why I want to bring this one up is just because we're talking about emotion regulation. Whether it's a trauma trigger, whether it's this week being kind of overloaded by some of the YouTube content, or folks, the creators, whether it's something going on at home, sometimes that emotional mind gets kicked off, right? It's like so activated, and both sides are important. So the rational and the emotional mind are important, but the emotional mind, like, we need both, right? And of course, then I'll talk about the wise mind in a second, but the emotional mind is the um
We do need both.
we
And
do need.
unlike some people, like, and then to link this even to the Scientology, I'll link this to that. As L. Ron Hubbard was saying about the reactive mind needs to go. No, we need both. We're human.
Mm-hmm.
We need our reactive minds.
So, like, the emotional mind is reason and logical thinking is difficult. So that's why I say, like, if you're speaking back to Kathy Ann's point, if you're so upset by something and you just want to, like, hash it out with your partner or with a family member or with a friend, that's really not the time to get productive conversations done, because that reason and logic are kind of out the door, right? And it's like you're just gonna. It's okay to vent and express emotions, but then that's what it's going to look like. It's not going to look like, okay, let's sit down and try to understand and reason through. So you're only using emotions to make decisions. A lot of things it could be on the extreme side, more impulsive. Things that you might do, people say, like, I'm gonna say things I regret. Again, we're looking at extreme here, like more intense emotions when they're dysregulated, more reactive, obviously, less proactive, less kind of
I've
intentional.
been working on that, trying to stop being reactive and be proactive. Yes.
Right. Tells us how we're really doing. So yeah, I mean, that can be important and helpful, because it really, if we check in with ourselves and say, okay, we're really, how are we doing? It as the emotional mind is important because it really taps into our like our state of being in that moment, right? So that's important.
Yeah.
And then uses core psychological needs. So that's emotional mind. And so part of the emotional regulation part, calm down the nervous system. And then I always say is do something to engage the rational mind after you calm down, not in the middle. Because when you're up in that anger, when you're upset and all that, like, you can't sit down and do some kind of logic game on your phone or read a book. That's just not going to work. But calming yourself down enough then to be able to really think through things, and be more focused and
Yeah.
intentional with stuff. And then the blend of the two is wise mind, which is intuitive thinking, arrangement between and balance between rational, emotional mind, and living mindfully. So that's, I mean, we need both sides. And on the other extreme, not extreme, I say, but on the other side, when someone doesn't have the rational or the emotional mind, you see a lot of like intellectualizing of feelings. Someone that just doesn't show a lot of emotion, they're more matter of fact about their life, and they're maybe not even be in touch with how they're feeling. So that's also problematic. So either if you're too engaged in this side or that side for too long, it could be hard.
Can I put one of my pictures? Or did you get the email?
I'm sure I did. Sorry, I feel like I've been doing a lot of psycho ed today.
She has. She's been teaching.
I've been
She's
teaching.
great at it. She's great at it. Even
but
Caesar Milan knows how to get back to a calm state first. Exactly.
That is so true. Cesar Millan is a pretty wise guy.
Absolutely, Kathy Ann. Yeah, red zoning is never a productive time. And I think we've got a lot of red zoning lately around here, and we just need to all take a step back and take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to take a breath. And see, Sophia, my mom taught me to compartmentalize, hold it all in, and there's a time and a place for it to come out. And at 50, well, I was 48 when I started therapy. Now I'm 50. My therapist said, do not compartmentalize. There's some things you have to, because you can't deal with it at that moment. But they said, she's like, that is the worst thing to teach anyone, is to compartmentalize, because you don't ever deal with it until your compartments bust open and you have crap flying everywhere. And that's kind of what happened. And that's why I'm in therapy.
Yeah. And to understanding, like, sometimes these things that we do, right, are helpful in some ways, in some period of our life. Like you and I have talked about, like, and I think on a live too, about like compartmentalizing, how it has been helpful in a lot of ways,
yes,
and at different points of your life.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. And I think it's just because I did it. I was taught to do it. Oh, stupid camera. I was taught to do it so much that I never released those things. And that's what led me to, they all busted open. So that, easiest way I can put it.
Kathy Ann says, both these ladies have heard me say I need to step back and get the emotion out of it. My biggest flaw is just not coming back to the issue to avoid conflict. Conflict avoidance is a tough one to really step out of, and it takes a lot of being more comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's the toughest. We want to stay in our safety zone, our little, and understandably, that's your comfort zone. It's like, I don't want to go there. Why should I go there? It's like, you're settled down, you feel like to approach a subject, right? Kathy Ann says, Emerson writes on, it's when you see red out of anger and rage, the logical and rational parts of your brain don't function fully during these episodes. It's all emotional. Yeah. And by the way, like, sometimes it's okay to be activated that way and to be like, okay, this is really upsetting. I'm really upset. And to feel those feels, like to feel those emotions. It's just, when is the point, and everyone knows it for themselves, when is it just too much, too all-consuming, too, it's, because not to deny that, we need that emotional reaction. That's human, like you said, Keela. Sophia, my mom was raised to figure out how do I say that, choleric moment instead of letting people calm down and always escalate situations. True. And that's another thing, like with relationships, especially in partnerships, it's like, if you have rules of engagements for arguments and say, someone could say, oh gosh, you're walking away from me. Well, that's an escalator, because we're supposed to be, that's like, you're ignoring me, you're brushing me off, and that could be an escalator. But if you have ahead of time, you say, hey, when things get heated, I need to walk away, go into another room, shut the door for 5 or 10 minutes, and then come back to it. If you have those discussions ahead of time, hopefully, then it's like, okay, then it won't, even just walking away and trying to calm down won't escalate it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. I got Sophie and Sophia both right. I love it when they're in there.
Conflict avoidance is actually one of my main triggers. So like someone else avoiding conflict.
Oh, Sophia does not. She will not. Like, she's gonna tell it like it is.
Yeah.
She doesn't like that.
Philosophy. I was listening to a psychologist who was saying that a personality disorder is developed as a coping mechanism, and who are we to tell some of their coping mechanisms are bad? Yeah, I mean, and I hear you on that one. It's yeah, and there's a lot to that. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation in of itself. But I hear you. It's coping skills are not bad. People find ways to deal with really difficult situations. It's just that awareness of when it becomes problematic and when it becomes
and
more
then
impactful in their life and in a not such great way.
And that's when we start going down the little checkoff list in the DSM. And I mean, and it's true, if they do, and if they do fit those criteria, then to make sure that they get better, we have to, let the process work and do what we know to do for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's all, like I always say, it's the first part is just the awareness of it, if where you're at and that for yourself of what you need to do. And sometimes other people in our life, if we're not aware ourselves, other people will say, hey, like I noticed you're doing this or that, and maybe you need to step away or maybe take a break, right? We can't figure out that, oh, we're dysregulated right now, or oh, we're not on the edge of not being so great, not feeling so great.
The rage is totally dysregulation. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. That's a good point. It takes time to relearn behaviors. It takes time to change behaviors. You might have the will to change a behavior, but it takes a lot of effort. Because I always like use the analogy, because I like hiking. It's like you have one path that's just a well-traveled path that everyone goes down. And then there's this other path over here that is a path, but not a lot of people go down that path. And it's like you're trying to just switch over to the other path. And it takes a lot of time to keep going down that path consistently and just to make a new path.
Yeah.
My philosophy, my friend had a girlfriend who had bipolar disorder, a borderline personality disorder. He would say, I just need space to think about this. And she would go crazy in his face and wouldn't leave him alone. Wow. Yeah, I mean, and that can be not only with someone borderline, I mean, and that might be a symptom of what's going on. It can be people all the time have different feelings about engagement in an argument. Some people
You're right, Heather.
Withdrawing. Some people like to really get it out.
Heather
Mack.
Yeah.
Also. Yeah. I knew where I was
at.
And
now what?
That's a great question. And now what? So, Keely, you want to start? I've been talking a lot.
No, I'm kind of with her. I mean, I'm with Heather. I'm like, and now what? Because when you're in, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to bring up anybody specific, but I'm just going to say it, in a community that you're in, and then all these different things that you're not used to come into the picture. There's real people being affected by this. It's not just the people saying this back and forth. There's people that, I mean, everybody in this chat is important. Everybody in this chat is affected by what we are saying right now. So you've got 200 people making content, and what you were so used to as far as stabilization, comfort, I don't know the words I'm looking for, but it all of a sudden has now been chaotic and turned upside down on its head, and you don't know where to go. And now what? That's why we're here. Because I do have the same question. And now what? Because people that you used to could trust, you don't maybe not trust them as well anymore. but it happens in every, it's not just this community. It happens in life. It happens in families. It happens in relationships. It happens in the bigger life communities. But right now we're all being affected by this. And I'm just going to say it. We are.
Yeah.
It's not something we're going to sweep under the rug. We're not going to do details, but that's what we're here for. I mean, it's really, really sad that we have so many people that are hurting right now. And we want this to be the place to come so that you can vent, you can talk, you can give us what's going on. We'll give you the best advice we can. I mean, that's all we can do, or at least have a place for you to sound off on.
I want to tackle Heather Mack's question because I think it's a
Please.
very important one. However, I wanted to bring up Tampa. I don't want to bring up her comment. I just want to just address it, which is that being depressed and feeling like you want to be unalived is a real situation that many of us have felt. I've had my own bouts with depression. And so I just want to say that, first of all, you're not alone, and that perspective, when you think about it and you, like you said in your comment, you feel like that was just, you could feel like it was so real and so true in your heart that was something that was clear as day.
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of people, maybe not only in this chat, but people out there in the community that can relate to that. I know I can understand what that depression looks like, and it's hard when you're in such a, like, this narrowed vision, but you think you're like this. You think like you're seeing everything. You're like, okay, I'm evaluating everything, and this is where I'm at.
When you're actually only seeing that narrow.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels like,
No,
yeah,
it
this is a conscious decision that I want to make. And all I can say is that with those types, and I think that you're in a better place now, and I know that to be, from what you've said,
Oh,
I
yes,
know that to
she's
be
true.
true.
Yeah. I talked to her.
But I think that's just want to bring that to light, because I think that can be a really, I mean, first of all, thanks for sharing that and bringing that to the table today, because we don't always talk about that, but it's to be in that state of mind and to feel that certain about it.
Right here.
And then not to feel that way, and then to get out of it,
And you got out of it, Barbara. Yeah, I mean, and look, you make such a very, in our whole community on here, not just this channel, but all the channels, all the community, all the creators. You're such an important person. Like, I know when you're not there. I knew you were the first person that I called about the hurricane. I mean, you matter. You matter to me a lot. So I just want you to know that. And
and Sophia makes a good comment here, is the only constant in life is change, and it sucks at times, but it'll figure itself out eventually. That's a hard thing to believe when you're in the situation like Tampa B-Man was, and other people have been, or maybe currently, maybe even are. But that is something that is really, like, if you can say it over and over again, that it's going to change. Everything changes. Everything.
I tell my employees, that is straight out of my handbook at work, the personnel handbook. The only constant at this job is change.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you've got to balance that with not letting anything affect those patients in there with change. They have to have a stable routine while you're dealing with the change. You have to be good like that. It's a hard job.
Yeah. So
and
I
also,
just wanted,
okay, thank you. That's what I was.
Yeah. But I wanted to tackle Heather Mack's question, but let's look at Sophie's comment here. I think anti-Scientology has always been a brutal place. Not everyone has to be friends, and not all personal disputes need to be aired in public. True. I see a lot of blind loyalty that is giving cold vibes. I think there's something to that. Keela and I have had conversations, I know, behind the scenes about just, and maybe even on our channel. I don't remember. My brain fog's acting up today, but
Oh
the
no.
gray area,
Hey Brian.
being able to hold two things at once, saying that someone can say things that we disagree with never mind, a lot. I
Vietnamese.
can't,
I
yeah,
can't say
thank
it
you.
either.
But yet we can still appreciate the things that they're doing well or the things that they're contributing. So I think
Yeah.
that can be hard for a lot of people. You're right.
And I think, okay. So I think that's probably, you said it perfect, Gretchen. I mean, really. Hey, Robin. That's so perfect about that. We see so many attacks, like, especially the last 2 days, about on a lot of different people. And it's like, you got to take this side. You got to take this side. First of all, I don't have to take any side. I'm just going to put this as a me thing. Okay. And I'm going to use myself as the example. I don't have to choose any side. I'm going to choose what I see as right, that is in line with my and I lost my word. That's in line with my values.
Mm-hmm.
If I hear or see something that does not align with my values, I don't have to be there anymore. That's my choice. And there's been a lot of mudslinging. There's been a lot of name calling. There's been a lot of things going on that us as the never end in Scientology will never understand it. We will never understand it because they have a community that they were born into. Just because they're out, Reese made a great point yesterday on her live, and I just wanted to point that out. If you want to go watch it, watch it. If you don't. But she made a great point about all this stuff. Hey, Judy Lee. Hey, she's paralyzed. Thank you. He's going to be able to explain that better than I'm trying to say it.
Excuse me. I'll read it. Sorry,
okay,
I was
please do that. No, I get my glasses, y'all. I've got to go get them stronger.
The paralyzed. The public's, is it citing?
The public sighting, yeah.
Citing, okay. Is lingering aspects of the KRs. It's a duty to make issues known. It's tough to see it still happening. Agreed. It's calling each other out. It's like we had talked about earlier. Not everything needs to, as you guys have mentioned, not everything needs to be hashed out. But it's also their right, in the spirit of trauma healing. It's everyone's right to find their voice and to be empowered to speak, to have their voice, to speak their truth and what they feel, and that's up to them. And I'm not going to take that. No one should take that away from them either. But
no, it shouldn't be. But if it's something that doesn't, yeah. So hang on. Sophia says, "Don't make me just choose a side because you might not like my choice. If you do, explain the why, and we'll see." Okay, so there you go. That's kind of how I feel. You cannot make me make a choice. I will like this one. Something about this. I like something about this one over here. I don't have to choose. I don't have to, and that's my right not to. So, and if you don't like it, and you don't want me on your channel because I refuse to choose a side, just let me know and I'll exit the door.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be ugly. But I'm not going to be the way,
I'm not just me personally, like, and I'll take just myself because I can only speak for myself. I feel that way about a lot of things, actually. I don't want to be categorized or boxed in by you're on this side or you're on that side. You're for this person or that person, politics, religion, what have you. And pick any big category that you want to talk about.
Yeah, that's big territories.
I'm like, I can see good things and bad things of a lot of different areas. So I think I want to think that a lot of people, maybe not religion as much, but like about different topics, and especially sometimes with politics, people feel that like there are different aspects of different mindsets that are good and bad. I don't know. I know it's very vague.
I mean, it's the truth. No, but it's the truth. Okay, so you got politics, you got religion, you've got YouTube channels, you've got whatever you want to, it doesn't matter. Thing
Parenting
is,
styles.
parenting style. There you go.
You have, what's best for, even just like healthcare choices. I mean,
There you go.
we have someone in our life right now that's dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and the person may not go through the regular chemo route, and that's the person's choice,
Right.
and it's like, I- who knows what I would do if, heaven forbid that happens to me, but whatever, like, I don't know, but I can't judge them. They have to make their own decisions. And there's a lot of, positive things to complementary medicines for cancer. Even. I mean, you could take any topic, in other words.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that we have to split apart just because I choose different than what someone else would choose. That someone else doesn't have to just turn their back on me and walk away because I didn't agree with what they thought. We
Yeah.
have to find common ground. And you're right, Tampa, right there. Barbara, that is so true.
And I think one of the things that's almost probably one of the reasons, in a way, that Keela reached out to me is like mental health issues was a common issue that was pervasive across all channels, all things that we were seeing. And I agree. There are a lot of things, suffering. There's, being in just, I don't know, being a world citizen, having COVID affects the COVID effect, all this, just so many different things that the common ground. But going back to Heather Mack's question, because I want to make sure we address it. In
Okay.
my opinion, it can be very destabilizing what's happened this past week, because when you think you have a certain view of something, or confidence or faith in a certain, way of, whether it's anything, I mean, whether it's a creator themselves or whatever, what have you. And then that gets shaken a little bit. Keela, what she said was right on. It's like you refocus and say, okay, that might have been destabilizing, but why did I initially come to watch these creators? What's important to me about watching these creators? Is it connection? Is it my interest in stopping the cult? Is it what is, so refocusing that intention maybe might be helpful.
I think so.
And doing that grounding work for yourself, because whatever happens in the world, if you feel grounded and centered within yourself, then that makes all the difference.
Sophie, you're so smart.
I think we have more in common with others if we focus on understanding and not just demanding that others think like us. Yeah, of course. That's a great point, I think.
Thank you, Aunt Dana.
I think understanding is where it's at.
Yeah, Heather, I mean, all I can say is I can walk with you through this hand in hand. I don't know where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone does. I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I think Gretchen is very wise about refocusing.
And I think, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just that's really the only thing I can say is I would have to go with you. What you're saying, refocusing on why we are watching this or watching that or supporting this person or supporting that person, and find out if they have changed and they've changed what you originally were watching them for, then you don't have to watch them anymore. Now, I think we're seeing a lot of reactions to reactions to reactions to reactions is what I think. That's my own personal opinion. And to hell with the fallout until the fallout starts affecting that person, if that makes sense. I hope I did, because that's the only thing I can say about it.
Philosophy, I think sometimes people are just cult watching and imitating Scientology. Not everyone, but I've seen it. Yeah.
Sophie, you've seen a lot. Yes, you have.
And understanding that not everyone, like you said, is watching for the same reasons we may be watching, or right. Each one of us watches for a different reason. And that's okay. But And if it's yeah, right on with what Keela said, is if it's not in line with what you feel in your heart and what you want to do, what you originally intended, and you don't want to,
Hmm.
if it doesn't align with that and you still want to watch someone for that reason, well, then you can switch or change your perspective and say, okay, well, I'm realizing this is what it is, and I'll just watch anyway. Shauna B, living in peace without judgment at this point in my life is essential for me.
That is my goal. My therapist asks me every single session. The first thing she asks me, "What is your goal? What is your goal today?" She doesn't ask me for long-term goals. I mean, what is my goal for today? And I at first I didn't understand what she was wanting from me, and now I do. And I think my answer is like almost the same every time. It's like peace. I just want some peace for today. That's my goal for today. Now we've set out long-term goals. We've set out midterm goals. We've found, but she just asked me right now when I get, she says, "What is your goal for today?" And I tell her peace or acceptance or accepting that I'm not accepted. Whatever's going on. It's just, but mostly it's peace.
Tampa B man, judgment is a Debbie Downer and soul crushing. Yep. I mean, we're human. We can be judgmental of ourselves. We can be judgmental of others. Others are judgmental of us. It goes all around. But it's, if we can get to that place, it does give some peace, right? It can say like, okay, I can see this person and understand that there's stuff going on for them and not judge them and just move along and let them be them.
And this
And I'll
kind of
be me.
runs into what Ben was on, if y'all remember, about the mob mentality. Don't fall victim to mob mentality. And yes, it can happen in a chat. Yes, it can happen on a channel. Don't fall in victim to mob mentality. Think for yourself, judge for yourself, know what your values are. Powerless. I think the
Powerless,
never
paralyzed.
ends.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I think the never ends have a great understanding because they see the overall human damage from the outside viewpoint. Don't discount that. Yeah, that's a good
Thank you,
point.
Power. And he's got, but you also have, being an ex-Scientist, you also know you've got a great concept, or I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but he could see it from both ways, being in and now being out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and very intelligent. Thank you, Power.
And I think I'm glad the community includes both, because I think both perspectives are so, I mean, the more, again, this is my bias, but the more perspectives you have to a situation, the better off you're going to be, just even if you don't take some of the opinions or the perspectives, it's still, you get to hear them and see, what they're about.
That's true, because we're all learning. Yes, Barbara, we're all learning.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Judy. Yes, you're absolutely right. Being that they've, I'm saying they because I don't know who they are, so I'm using they as I don't know. Okay, so I'm say they. I'm not making this towards anyone, but Judy is right. We need both, and I think you're talking about Never Ends and ex-Scientologists.
Yeah.
Okay, we need both sides to take this down. You're right.
Right.
Yes. I miss Doug too, Sophie.
Sophia, I think you had a few comments, so I'll just read this. Oh, see, am I doing that? I'm doing
John
that.
might be. John might be. John might be.
Oh, John, what are you messing with me for? From a poet. As someone who tries to remain as an observer for the most part, when stuff like this happens, I try to keep in mind that no matter how messed up, we never ends are, the ex-intelligence are doubly so.
Oh, God, Brian. Perfect.
And it's, I don't like, yeah. And I think that there's just,
Doug,
we have to also give them some, like, understand, putting that in perspective and saying, they're hurting. And sometimes, and I told Keela this earlier, and I truly feel this way, whatever comes out of our mouth can be a direct reflection of what's in the inside. And sometimes anger comes from hurt. And, you know, being vengeful or being mean or whatever you want to call it, it just comes from hurt or comes from frustration. It can come from a lot of different things. So,
and it's valid.
yeah, of course. Sophia, Sophie, we live very casually with extreme weather to others, and it teaches you not to react to everything just because it happens. Or maybe lethargic at times and prevents overreactions. Okay. Yeah.
Sophie, what power of X members are needed for insight, but the never ends are the ones that will take the message to the rest of the world to save them from going in the first place. Thank you, Power. John, I'm going to jump up here real quick on something real quick. Okay, wait. Okay, so Sophie, you know, everybody knows philosophy. She was Doug's bright and shining star. It's interesting that most anti-Scientology channels are ex-Sea Org when the majority of members are public. Man, I miss Doug. Yeah, me too. And then Tampa says Doug. And then Shauna says, I love Doug. I learned so much from him. He made me think. He was absolutely made everyone think. Sophie.
Yeah.
He has touched a lot of people. I mean, even John, look, I mean, everybody knows that Doug he was the outsider. He never fell into that clique. Doug was always the outsider, and he taught so much, and he was so analytical. It took him a long time to get where he was at.
Yeah.
Boy, him and Sophie would get into conversations that were way over my head. I just had to sit there and listen. But it's true. You know, I mean, it's true that the never ends, right? Power, you're right. That the never ends are the ones to take the message, but the ex-Scientologists are the ones to tell us what to take. You know, because we don't know what's going to affect what. Yes, Kathy, thank you.
So, and I hope today offered like an avenue. I know we kind of like we do sometimes, we're kind of jump around to many different topics, but just try to have some thoughts about coping skills, about how to deal with intense emotions, but also really discuss our own reactions to what's going on and the hurt and the wonderment of what to do, how to go forward.
Doug was an angel. Doug is an angel. I agree, Barb. Yeah, and Sophie, you're right. He stayed objective. He didn't put anyone on a pedestal, including himself. He did not. I know, Poet, I do too. I think that's the difference maybe now in this community, because when things like this would happen a year ago, we had Doug. Everybody went to Doug because he was never on a side. That's the difference, I think, with what's going on right now in our community than from a year ago. We did have Doug, and he was very important, and now he's gone. So we just have to learn to get through this.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on you guys,
no,
but
go ahead.
You guys hold that place now.
I will never fill those shoes.
No, we can't fill those shoes, but we can pick up the mantle.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, John.
Yeah, I appreciate it, John. Yeah. And I think that's what he gave, that safe space. And he didn't care what you thought. I mean, he listened to both. Oh, I love Marissa. I know it started out a hate relationship, and now I love her to pieces. Because she speaks just exactly what she thinks, and I love it.
Kathy, and I do wish people got the same love and appreciation they seem to get after they're gone. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What if that were, I mean, that's something to sit with. It's like, what if we were to treat everybody as if we're sharing memories of them at their funeral, you know, like sharing wonderful stories and appreciating them in that, hopefully that heartfelt way, and just treated them like that every day, you know, that
That's
appreciation and that love.
yeah, just show. I mean, even if it's somebody, okay, so a creator, because of the turmoil that's going on right now, a creator that maybe you're thinking different about today than you did yesterday. Okay, I'm going to just say that. Maybe you're thinking different now. Why don't you try to go back, remember what you originally, like Gretchen said, what you originally started watching this person for. Okay, and now think about everything that has happened. They may be just a reaction to what is happening, but we could be kinder. We could be gentler. We could be giving more grace. We will never, ever, hey, awakened, we are never, and I don't like to use absolute terms, but we will never be in that family or that community that, or of the ex-Scientologists that they're in. Now, Power, yes, I understand. He was. We will never know what that's like. They can try to tell us all they want, but it does not matter. We will never truly know it.
Yeah.
So let's be who we are. We don't need to be in there. We
Yeah.
need to be us. We need to be showing them that there's people out here that appreciate them for even just stepping up, telling their story. Each voice makes the message louder. I think that's what we need to get back to. Taking down Scientology, not each other.
From a poet, Doug had the right amount of.
I don't give a.
Oh, okay. I see. My brain is not functioning on all cylinders today. And he was an ex Scientologist. It made him perfect, the perfect neutral observer.
Yes.
Yeah. Philosophy. I told Doug in every message I sent him that he gave a lot to the audience and how smart he was.
He's so smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I always say I love you because you're right. Okay, so right, Tampa. Love you, Waken. I'm glad you're in here. Yes.
I do.
You do, Kathy. You do, Kathy Ann, all the time. And right there, my kids know to always tell me they're leaving the house and say I love you and goodbye. They know. I know that too, and that's what I do. I tell Daryl, I love you, baby. Be careful. Mm-hmm. Those are the words that come out of my mouth when he walks out the door. I love you, baby. Be careful. And I mean that every single time.
So many awakened, so many wonderful peeps in here. Kisses. Thank you. Kisses right back at you and hugs. Yes, and I forgot to say hi to some people, and I apologize for that. I think I saw Robin Miners, and yes. We were in the groove of talking about lots of stuff. So I don't know if I missed anyone else, but I apologize if I did.
We've got, I know you have to go, but we have some, yeah. I'm going to bring up the star questions if that's okay.
Sure.
Or the comments.
Tampa B Man, I know this is cliche, but I've recently been doing the deep breath in, and then another way, all the way deep breath in along with the deep breaths. My hearing is okay. Sometimes equalizes emotions from a different place. Yeah.
Mindfulness is that to me that I do that with my mindfulness. Absolutely. Journey.
My venting has nothing to do with a calm. My venting has nothing to do with a calm problem-solving mind. Yeah, and it doesn't have to, right?
No, it doesn't.
The beauty of it.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it. Tampa B Man, there's definitely overlap of bipolar and borderline. The toughest part, they don't like to diagnose before 8. The toughest part,
right.
They don't like to diagnose before 18. Yeah, I think there's, yeah, and I think I've worked in pediatric like psychology, you know, as in like a children's clinic, and it's so hard to grapple with that idea because diagnosing kids and putting that label on them, because it is, unfortunately, it is still stigmatized.
And now they're doing it so early, way more than 12 years old. And I'm like,
I know. It's so hard. That's such a hard call from like a psychiatrist or other people that do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sophia, my dad always said it's your hurdle to learn to deal with and not someone else's problem because you can't deal with your own crap. Yeah, I mean that I think there's another level to that too, is we have all of our things we need to kind of deal with and cope with, but social support system is also very important. Awaken, my kiddo Christina used to make a grand production of saying I love you every night. I asked her once, why must you do that? She said, I just want you all to know how much I love you. I'd give anything. Aw, to get one of those another one of those good nights. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
Okay, I gotta pop this up. Sunrise Dawn. Damn it, somebody say Xenu.
All I have is my water today. I don't have
Robin.
any
Okay,
fun
yeah,
drink.
Xenu. I got some tea. Here we go.
Xeno. Xeno Marine. There you go. Everybody partake, right? Is that what I'm supposed
Yeah,
to say?
that's what he says.
Robin Miners. Again, hello. I've had the same therapist for 10 years. I actually found him for my husband as well. He goes occasionally, but I think I need a new opinion. Is that wrong? No, not at all.
No.
You know, we might see that often where people are with a therapist and they've really been helpful, but they just want to a change of perspective, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, and that's totally your call though. Definitely.
Yeah. Wait, what did I miss? Miss Sunrise Dawn, what did we miss?
I don't know what we missed.
Look. Oh, okay. She was talking about Awaken. What you read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Robin. If it's up to you, if you don't feel like you're getting anything out of it, then I mean, if it were me, and I can't tell anybody else what to do. If it were me, I would be finding something that I'm going to get something out of. I'm not going to. I put 100% in, so I want 100% out. And if I'm not getting that, then I'm going to.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Another thing to think about, and I don't know if you took breaks. Some people do consistently, like consistent therapy for a number of years. Sometimes it's good to just have like a short break or a respite from therapy, just to feel it on your own. Not to say that you can't, have someone in place or have other supports, but then regroup and get another therapist, or even go back to the same therapist if that's what you wanted to do. But it sounds like you're ready for a change.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not effective, then I wouldn't. I forget a lot of everything. Sophia.
My brain fog never since Kathy Ann. Yeah, my brain fog is in full effect today. Yeah, you shouldn't waste your time on non-effective therapies.
Yes. Oh, Misha. Okay. You shouldn't waste your time on all. Yes. Wait. Where was it looking at? Every 2 weeks for years. If it's not working, I would do something. Maybe try something different.
And sometimes it's not that the therapist is ineffective. It's just you get into like kind of a complacency pattern, and sometimes that happens if you've been in therapy a long time with the same therapist. So
yeah. Or we start talking about things that have nothing to do with our therapy, and before we know it, the session's up and oops.
Yeah, that's true too.
See, Aria, that's how I feel, but I love my therapists. When I want to try something, then she just like with this the ART, because I have been through the EMDR, but it takes so long and it takes so much out of me that I don't know if I still have it in me, and that I want to try the ART. And she said that well, Sunday we get to start. So
thankful for all the groups Awaken. So thankful for all the groups that are forming here on the tubes. Nothing but love necessary. Thank you for that, Awaken. Yeah, I like all the groups too. And then philosophy makes a good point. Shouldn't the goal be that you no longer need therapy? So yes and no. Yes.
Yeah, we are Awaken. So we are today.
We're
Hot mess.
watching. We're wearing our Lady Co
Lady
matching sweatshirts.
Co.
I told Keela I got both colors because I'm double hot mess, and I wore both colors this week. So I'm. One of my neighbors noticed, and he's like, "Gretchen, I see you're a hot mess today." And I was like, "Yes, I am. Thank you very much." Yes, to no longer need therapy, or to no longer need it as much, or no longer need it to need it. It more of an add-on, nice to have. Ideally, the goal is so you get confident in your own coping skills. Not that you would never have a depressive, anxious, whatever episode again, but that you'll feel confident to be able to handle it. So yes, but then there are situations where people have long-term issues that takes a little bit of longer time to deal with. So that can happen.
Robin,
too.
I can't get mine in Navy. Every time I go,
I
they're sold
have
out.
the Navy one too, Robin.
He's got it. I don't.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it's so
it's
good. And they're so
sold out.
cozy. Mine's like over like huge, like I'm just like it's so
Oh,
big.
mine
and
is too.
bulky.
Yeah,
It's just like it's all over. It feels like, I just
I love it.
loving it. I don't work today, so I'm just like cash.
Oh, see, Kathy Ann's got the link to that too, so they're not selling them right now.
I know they're not. But oh my gosh, I just forgot her name. The lady that owns Lady Co. Someone know it in the chat? I forgot. What's her name? Do you know? The lady that owns with the long dark hair.
Okay, well, I've only seen it a million times. You think I would know, but I have brain cells.
Gosh, why can't I think of her name right now? It's bothering
Come
me.
on, Kathy Ann.
Abby. Thank
Abby.
you. Thank you. Yeah, we should call
Everybody knows
Abby.
Abby.
We should we should bombard Abby, like make the hot mess sweatshirts again. Bring those back. She probably will for winter. I'm thinking.
I hope she does because I want the blue one.
Maybe she'll have other color. Was there another color or was that it? Maybe that was just the two colors. Yeah, Aria, I agree with you. A good oversized sweatshirt is wonderful. That's something. That's my happy place. So, hi, Amy. Nice. So, oh, funny. You're putting her.
Everybody tell her.
Everyone's gonna bombard Abby.
Abby, bring back
the hot mess. They are pretty like fun sweatshirts. I mean, yeah. And I live in an area where there's a lot of people that are into brands. I'm not a big brand person, but into the Louis Vuitton and whatever. So it's funny.
I don't care about any of that.
So I'll wear this and they'll be like, what? Okay. Well, Keela, you could stay on if you wanted, but I gotta sign off because I have a son I need to pick up from school.
All right, I'm going to paste this. This is just emotional regulation strategies.
Yeah,
I'm going to post
do that on the community page on the YouTube.
Yes, I'm going to see if Kathy can post. Kathy, that one right there, and then there's one more.
Okay, yeah, right there.
Well, I'm not going to be able to. This one because it's coming from my files because I saved it on my computer. So, but it came from here. Somewhere. Where did I get that from? Oh, right here. Okay, so copy. Sorry, y'all. Paste.
Okay.
I hope that was right. Yeah. Okay, so the one that I have, it's a picture of the 10 emotional regulation skills, mindfulness, cognitive, stress reduce, impulse control. If we could put them on the community page, that would be great. Nice. And I can put just the photo on there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy Ann.
I hope that was helpful for today, just to kind of, you know how we do on this channel. We let it hang out. We give each other support. We like that. And we wear our hot mess sweatshirts. Next time we could be wearing some purple.
Oh yes, next time y'all might be seeing some purple, and it might be just titled "If You Know, You Know."
we
promise
we have
we
to
got
kind of
monetized.
now people are expecting us to be in matching outfits.
I love you, Aunt Dana. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
You know, we do need to do that because we said once we went monetized, we were going to do it.
Yeah. And thank you all for those who have supported with the super chats. And so we
Yes.
appreciate it.
Y'all have been, y'all got us the hours. Y'all got us, you know, we're almost where we're almost at where we're fully monetized. So we just need some more watch hours, and it's actually not the watch hours, it's the subs is the main thing.
Shout out to our own Hockey Town John and our own Hamina, who are going to be going on Jimena's channel
7
o'clock
right?
Central this evening. So just here in a few hours, and that's going to be pretty cool. They're going to talk about, they're going to do it like a regular Friday thing, I think.
Yes, I'm loving it.
And if I can pull up, Kathy, if you could just put in the link,
come up.
that would be great.
Yeah, there you go. Hello. You know, everybody wants to hear you talk anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we try to up the ante with matching sweatshirts, but they really like your voice.
Yeah, I know, right? I see. There you go.
I got to bug Abby to start making that in men's sizes. I like that.
So I see. I'm just looking at it right now. Connecting with friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's at 7 o'clock Central, right?
Yeah, 7 o'clock Central. You know, it's
Dawn's doing something at 11 Eastern, so 10 Central.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to stay up for that one. She always goes on kind
of. I love her
panels. Do that.
Yeah.
I love her panels. They're open panels and they're just so chill.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing that Jimena and I are trying to do. You know, we talk about a lot of heavy topics during the week. There's always a lot going on. And we just want to do a light show. Everyone can just kind of decompress from the week, you know, and have a little fun.
Mm-hmm.
I love y'all. I love it when you're in Hamina. Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, they have great energy together. Like, I love
that. They do.
We do have good chemistry. She's kind of shy, and I'm kind of not. So we complement each other well. She calms me down, and I bring her up. So we have a lot of fun with it.
And then your channel, do you have any updates for us about your channel, Healing Through Song?
I am in the process of doing some content. I'm hoping to have it done and posted by the end of Sunday. So
okay.
I don't want to.
Are you going to do live? Are you going to do live, John?
I think initially I'm going to do some, at least a couple by myself. I still got to get the hang of this fair use practice thing. I don't want to get, taken down, copyright struck or anything like that.
Go to YouTube Content Creator. Are you subscribed to that?
Yep, I am subscribed to that.
They give you all the points on it, and that's where I go for every question I have.
Yeah, because somebody had reached out to me and said that it might not be a good idea to do live reactions.
They do live reactions all the time.
I see. Now I'm subscribed to a ton of reaction channels, but I don't know of any of them that do it live. So
they just have you have to stop.
So I'm just gonna, since you guys are pimping me out here, I'm just gonna say to the chat, here's what my idea is, and I'll post some stuff about this on my Facebook as well. But what I'm wanting to do is, rather than just be a normal reaction channel, I want to react to songs that have touched your life in some way, either in at a time when things were really bad for you or really good times. And I'd like to have people on. And you don't have to be a content creator to come on my show. I mean, any one of you. This is an open invitation to everybody who can hear the sound of my voice right now to come on the show, and we'll do them together. Now, if you don't want to do that, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, please send me an email or an instant message on Facebook with the name of the song and maybe a short little story about why it means so much to you. And I will acknowledge you on the channel, and I will read your story as I'm reacting to the song. So that way I think everybody has a fair opportunity to have their voice heard, whether they want to be, whether they
I think
consider
I've
themselves to be camera ready or not.
I don't care.
You
I've
know.
screamed it and screamed it and screamed it, and I just put it in the private chat. So
I appreciate that.
yeah, I think
Thank you.
everybody knows mine.
But I mean, I could go on. I have a list, you know, I have a scrapbook of these songs in my head that I could run an entire
What
channel
email?
with just that.
John,
I'll
Kathy,
post the
Kathy
email
Ann
right
wants
now.
to put it. Okay.
I'll post
All
it
right.
right
I'm glad.
here.
We gotta
That's
go.
awesome.
Gretchen.
I really like that idea of the email or the messaging too for people that don't
Yeah.
want to go on.
Because I don't want people to feel left out. And if you don't want to go on camera, I mean,
No,
I can
and John, you're
still-
putting yours Hope Study. Okay. There you
yeah,
go.
I just put it up there.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all can reach us at mental health. Your mental health matters to us at gmail.com. And
For John, it's
John,
Hope Steady
Hope Steady
33 at Comcast.net.
And just so everybody knows, you know, I've become a big part of this channel. I am not the talent. These two are the talent. But I also want you guys to know that I am always here if anybody ever needs to reach out. So you can use that email address, and I promise you I will get back to you as quickly as I possibly can.
Well,
I love
You are
this what
not-
Sophia just said. I'm
You are
sorry.
not alone.
Just call it
It's just
just
called the Glorious Mess Show.
Glorious Miss Show.
Is she referring to our channel or is?
Right. Exactly.
Well, on that note, yeah, you can still share your stories. I like that. I gotta say, I gotta head out, but I
That's
appreciate
fine.
all of you for
Thank you,
sharing
mods.
time, whatever time you had with us today
Yes,
or
thank you,
watching on replay. And
Yeah.
thank you so much. Have a
Yeah,
great
it was
Thank you,
great
mods.
seeing you
Thank
all.
you.
Have a great
Thank
weekend.
you, chat. Thank you for participating. Oh, you're welcome, Power. I appreciate all of y'all. Yes, Kathy Ann, we got to get her not to be late. John, thank you for being behind the stage. We're a hot
Absolutely.
mess. We're just a hot mess. So,
I'm enjoying seeing Gretchen smile again. That makes me
I
happy.
know.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a hard
That's
week.
what
but I'm glad to
self-care
smile.
does.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, y'all,
Take care, all.
we're going to be on John and Hamina and on Sunrise Dawn. So that's
Yep.
what's coming up for tonight.
All
All
right.
right,
Take
y'all.
care.
Well,
Close
we
friends,
love you.
yeah.
Be careful. And please, whatever you do, be safe out there, okay? And
care,
here we
everybody.
go.